I know a lot of you who are fans of YFE Chat Live that show up live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, and who are on the chat usually have a glass of wine with you, which I love. I think it's so much fun to sit around with your girlfriends and talk over wine. But I know at the same time, ordering wine can be a little intimidated and complicated, which is why the founder of Trophy Wife Wines, our guest tonight, started her own wine label. She's going to talk to us about the process of creating it, marketing it, selling it, and everything in between. So make sure that you stay tuned for that entire 30 minutes and use the hashtag YFE Chat. This is Jennifer Donogh, the host of YFE Chat Live, the live show that happens every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern here at YFELive.com. Tonight's episode is episode 81, and our topic is all about the wine industry, and our guest is Gwen Ogle of Trophy Wife Wines. She is a founder and CEO and everything in between. I'm very excited to talk to her because I've always been interested in what it takes to start your own wine company. There's not very many women in this space. I think there's one female wine, I don't know what you call it, wine company in the Northwest that I know of, and there are just not very many out there. So the fact that Gwen is doing it, she's a young female entrepreneur, I'm very excited to talk to her. Tonight's episode 81, is brought to you by Oval Eye TV. Oval Eye believes in building community through shared experiences. We produce professional live webcasts that bring tribes together. And by MailChimp. MailChimp is the best way to design, send, and share email newsletters. You can get started today for free at MailChimp.com. And I definitely recommend that you guys check out their blog. I look at it about every couple days because it's got fantastic advice. There's a piece, an email, or a blog post that went out today about Ace Hotels. I don't know if you guys have ever stayed at one of their hotels. It's very chic, very cool, very hip. They do email marketing by collaborating with other products and being kind of a curator for people who are interested in Ace Hotels. They might be interested in these other products. Very interesting stuff, great ideas. And in honor of MailChimp, I saw one of their ads in their blog posts that had Freddie, the monkey guy, in between books. So I copied it and put it up there. I thought it was just really clever that he was reading a book. So, thanks, MailChimp. I stole your idea. I thought it was so cute, though. So before we bring in Gwen, I want to talk about a couple little things going on with YFE. One, of course, is that the action calendar, we still have a few days left, so make sure that you check that out. It's just at yfe.me/action calendar. Each day we do a different action. Take a picture, tag it with YFE Chat, let people know that you've done it so that we're all growing and doing things together. It's just fun way of meeting people who are doing the same things you're doing. And then, of course, we have another live webcast by Jacqueline Jensen next week for YFE Vegas Tech. And then we have another one that's coming up on October 1st at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern at the Stacey Harris, who is hosting Bootstrap Book Club. Let's see if we can bring Stacey back on so she can talk to us about her hosting duties. But the book that we're reading is Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. I read it on Audible a couple years ago, and it was a fantastic read, and I'm excited to revisit it because I feel like after a couple years you've gained some experience and some knowledge behind it, and you can go back and find new things. So if you've read it in the past, try it again with us. You can find out more about all of the book club at yfe.me/find me in the club. Yes, that's a 50 Cent reference, and I always like to sing it when I think of Bootstrap Book Club. So Stacey, as the host of Bootstrap Book Club, what are you looking forward to discussing with us?
I am looking forward to discussing not just a book, but ways we can implement the stuff from the book. So my goal for while I'm hosting is for everything to be really actionable. So we are going to spend the time we're together in Bootstrap Book Club, not just reading a book, but taking action on the ideas when we are inspired by them.
I love it. So Stacey, one of the things that I noticed was on your page, you have a little promotion going. Can you tell us about that?
I do. I recently moved to a new Facebook page, so I'm rebuilding and starting over. It's facebook.com/the Stacey Harris. And
like your Twitter handle.
That's right. It's all about consistency, people. So I am going to be giving away a copy of the Thank You Economy when I hit 500 fans. Said if I hit 500 by Friday, but I just want to give away the book either way. So what I've decided is I will give away a copy to someone who likes my page live on the show on October 1st. So that you can kick off the book club time together with the book in your hot little hands. So be sure to like the page before then, because I'll pick it right before we start live. So facebook.com/the Stacey Harris. Stacey is spelled with an E, same way my Twitter handle is. It will be awesome.
Thank you so much, Stacey. I'm really excited for you to host. Like I said, I'm excited to read the book again, and I'm even more excited, like you said, to discuss it with others and to look at that actionable advice. So everyone, Stacey is on at YF Entrepreneur, the Twitter handle, and the hashtag YFE Chat. So make sure that you're tweeting her, tweet away your takeaways, and of course, Gwen's Twitter handle is on the side, so you guys can use that too. It's at Trophy Wife Wines. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to at Am Schaffner, Amanda. She's got the Instagram pickup of her right now, who she said she's drinking with at the Stacey Harris. I thought that was really clever. So thanks you guys for tweeting, for showing up live and all that fun stuff. If you're watching it later on YouTube or iTunes, make sure that you leave a comment, like it, share it with your friends. We always love some interaction with you guys. So let's learn about our guest, Gwen. So Gwen is, of course, the founder of Trophy Wife Wines, the smart and sexy wine company founded by Lexington, Kentucky. And you can even hear her accent when she talks. It's so cute. It's produced and bottled in, I think this is how I say it, Lodi, the wine-grape capital of California. She conceptualized Trophy Wife Wines after working as a wine territory manager in the beverage industry, where she learned that many people still consider wine intimidating and complicated. So Gwen, thank you so much for being on YFE Chat Live tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and tell us about what it takes to start a wine company.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Now, I should ask, what do you call yourself? You're a founder of is it a wine label?
Yes.
Okay, a wine label.
A wine label.
Awesome. So now, what was the process like? Because like you said, it's out of the idea that purchasing wine is complicated and it's intimidating for people. So why do you feel that way? What gave you the idea for Trophy Wife Wines and solving that initial problem?
So for a couple of reasons. I worked for a beverage wholesaler in Kentucky, and I'm also a consumer. So I would find myself walking down the aisle down the wine aisle in a liquor store, and all the labels look the same. They're, a cursive print, a Gwen Ogle reserve, if you will. And I found myself going towards the cuter, girly labels, but I found myself only buying them one time due to the quality. So I just thought that if I could bring a better label and a better wine, then everyone wins. So
very nice. Well, so this was a process for you, because you can't just turn around and say, I'm going to start. I mean, for a lot of us, for our businesses, they're online, and we say, I'm going to start a business. I've got $100. I'm going to get this going. You can't exactly do that for a wine bottle. So can you tell us a little bit about the process and what it felt like to actually see that bottle? We have a picture of you. You told me a little bit about what it was like to actually finally get that product in your hand. But can you tell us what it was, what it took to get to that point, and then what it felt like to actually see it?
I had to research, I had to Google, I went to LinkedIn, message boards inside of groups for the wine and spirits industry, and had internet doors closed in my face. I was told several times, unless you have $1 million, this will never happen. And I do not have $1 million. So it is possible. It took a lot of work. It took almost 2 years to get off the ground. And the picture you're talking about is the day it came out. I've been looking at these girls for 2 years, even from just a pencil sketch. And I got a text message from the distributor saying that the wine had been delivered. And I don't even think I had showered. I know I had no makeup on. I just jumped in my car, drove to the liquor barn, and went, yeah, it's called the liquor barn. And walked in, asked an associate, I said, do you have Trophy Wife Wines? And he said, yeah, we actually just got it in. It's back here. So I go past him, I see it on a pallet, I tear into it like a lunatic. And I pull it out, and he's just staring at me. And I thought, this isn't the best time to tell him that I'm the owner of this wine. So I was just like, okay, thanks. But yeah, I got a picture of me holding it, and I'm like mid-cry, overwhelmed. So it was a really, really cool moment to see that, it's a real product. The other cool thing is I got to buy the first bottle of wine. I was able to buy our first bottle too. So I have
do you
the receipt.
still have the bottle or the receipt? Do you have it like hanging in your office?
Yes,
oh, that's
I
so
do.
funny.
Yeah.
It's like someone's, how you frame the first dollar that comes into your business is just like that. I love that. So now I sent out an email earlier that Alex Frias, he's a young entrepreneur. I think his company is called Track Marketing Group. He said something at the beginning of the week that really resonated with me, saying that to accomplish any goal, you really need to put your research or do your research, plenty of research in advance, and then hustle your way into it. So as far as you said, it took a couple years to get Trophy Wife off the ground. How did that play out in your story and researching and hustle?
So like I said, I was a manager at a beverage company. So I worked probably 60 hours a week. So my only time to work on my wine was in the evenings. So evenings and weekends was researching and meeting and calling people. And so it definitely wouldn't take that long now, but it was really hard to do while, balancing a full-time job.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that you had internet doors slammed in your face.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about that. Were you cold emailing people or going on forums and asking people what it took, or what did that look like?
So one thing that really I learned a lot from was Googling everything. And then I went on to...
I mean, that's been a number one piece of advice from a lot of people is just Google everything.
Yeah. I'm also a nerd in that I like to read industry news. So it's interesting to me to find out what, the trends are in industry. So I stayed up on all of my industry news. But then LinkedIn has groups that you can join. And then inside the groups, there's message boards and forums and things. So I was able to read a lot on there to learn, but then several times I asked questions. I'm looking to do a custom crush is what it was called. I would like to look into doing a private label. And every time people would say, well, I hope you have a rich family, or I hope you, I got the same answers every time, which I don't. So, and then I also, emailed and called several vineyards in California, and their whole thing was we just weren't big enough. And so we're super small. And that led us to our vineyard we work with now. And they're a family-owned vineyard in Lodi, California. And they are very California. They've helped teach us things. And they've been a great partner to have.
Well, so let's talk about that process. How did you actually come to find them? Was that just through, again, emailing? Was it through networking? Was it through LinkedIn?
It was through networking through my job. So I had to be very careful because I didn't want to have a conflict of interest with, talking to our suppliers about things. But I did casually ask a couple of suppliers, hey, have you ever heard of anyone having their own wine label? And, through some, probing, I was able to find out, oh, yeah, there's actually, I know this one guy, they've got a vineyard that they probably could do something for you. I was like, okay. So yeah, we were able to link up with them that way.
Well, I think that's interesting because I didn't know that that's even possible. I thought you had to have a vineyard and that you had to grow up in the whole winemaking history in order to actually have a wine label. And then I met somebody that's what they did. They are a dentist, and they came out and said, I want to own my own winery. And so what they did was they bought grapes from a vineyard and then put it in a bottle. And the biggest thing was coming up with the right mixture, the right tasting, or whatever you want to call it, and then creating the label and the brand and the feel, the experience of drinking the wine and interacting with it. I thought that was so exciting. So it feels like more people can actually get into this space than in the past. Do you feel like that's true, especially 2 years after you got started with all of this?
I do. And what you need to remember is a lot of these winemakers, they are farmers by trade. So, they may not have, the business savvy, the marketing, and that's kind of where our idea came in. And so while they're doing us a favor by producing the wine, letting us label their bottles, we're doing them a favor because we're selling their wine too. So it really makes for a good partnership. I think that it's definitely something people can get into, but I must warn you, it's a long-term investment, and the margins are low, and it could be a couple years before you even make any money on it. So it's there's a lot
Patience.
a lot of patience. You have to remember your cost of goods. The label costs so much, the bottle costs so much, the cork, the box it comes in. So not to mention fees to sell into states too. So there's a lot of different things you need to keep in mind when going into alcohol, for sure.
I think it's amazing when people start to, because it literally feels impossible to actually start a wine label to me. I don't know how you did it. And especially
It did.
especially with the fact that you're a female. And I've always thought of winemakers as being a very male dominated. I mean, most of the wine movies that you watch, there's usually some kind of like dark and mysterious man behind the wine, and it's all very, family, like Italian and whatever it is. So
Yes.
How has being a female affected you in the wine industry?
It's very much a boys' club for sure, and it was definitely different when I first started 4 years ago. Just in the industry in general, I was one of maybe 3 girls in the market, and here we are 4 years later, and there's so many more women, so that's great. There's also a ton of winemakers now who are women, so I think that it's turning around, and I think it's because these men had to listen. Women account for 80% of the wine purchased.
80%? Oh my gosh.
That's a lot. So
Why? Why do you think that is? I mean, that's insane. 80% of
Isn't it?
wine is
Yeah.
being purchased by women. Oh my gosh. So why?
I think that women, we like to go share things with each other. I often tell people my fondest memories with drinking wine is not with my husband. It's always with my girlfriends playing, having game night, or, just sitting around watching TV or a movie or something. So I think that women were about sharing, and we want to, I know for me, I loved taking different wines and being like, look at this label I found. It's so funny, So I think that women just like to share these experiences together. So I think that could be a reason why it accounts for that.
It's funny that you talked about the labeling piece, because that is something that I do. I don't necessarily buy, especially when I'm going to the store to go over to like a girlfriend's house, I buy like the $12 to $15 price point wines, and they're usually not because they a certain taste or a certain whatever. It's usually because of the label. It like stood out to me, or if it's like a cute thing. So I think that's funny, and I love that there's more women getting into it, especially if 80% of them. It's just like the apps. We had Carla White on speak about she created the gratitude app, and she was saying more women need to get into app building because women consume apps, they use apps, and so I just think that's really interesting. So as far as speaking of the male and female type of dynamics within wine, your husband, I got to speak with him over Skype for a bit. He's awesome, and he seems like such a good support system for you. Is he involved with your business at all?
He is. So actually, the story about I came home with the idea, and I'm sitting there on the couch. He walks in with the mail, flipping through the mail, and I just said, I have a business idea. And he just looks at me. I was like, so I think we could come with a wine label. And I started telling him about it. And he was like, you know what? I believe in you. I think you have a lot of great ideas. Let's go ahead and we'll form an LLC, and we'll go from there. Just, do your research. And so from day one, he was on board with it. We have very similar personalities, yet we have very different skill sets. So he takes care of a lot of the licensing in the States and a lot of the behind the scenes things that I don't care to do. And then I'm the one who wakes up in the middle of the night with, I have a new idea of how to market this, or, so I'm the crazy person behind the idea, and he's the one doing all the paperwork.
Well, and so we actually have Melissa Penton. She's at Melissa Penton. She's asking, where do you sell your wines?
Right now, we are sold in Kentucky, Tennessee, Iowa, Indiana, and soon to be Missouri. And we're trying to open up new states every day. So that's the biggest challenge. So the best thing that I can ask people to do is to ask for us at your favorite retailer.
I think that's something that people don't realize, that they have tremendous amount of power over their grocers. If you just go up and request something, 9 times out of 10, they're actually going to look into the product and try and actually stock that, because not that many people ask their grocers to actually put stuff on the shelves. I've learned that because my mom does a gluten-free show, and that's something that people always ask. They always ask the viewers to ask their grocers to put it on their shelves. My mom always will go into a grocer and say, will you please stock something for me? And they usually do. So I think that's a great piece of advice. Well, and as far as being sold and being in physical locations, I know that it can be tricky with wine, especially to sell online. Do you have plans for selling wine, or even some of your glasses? You have beautiful glasses. Do you have plans for selling online?
I'm drinking this one right now. It's actually hand painted by our artist, Betsy May. So if you look, there's a lot of detail in it, and it took a lot of time. So we are branching into merchandise. I'm hoping before Christmas we can get some things up and going. But right now, our wine is not available online. And neither is, actually we have koozies online that you can buy.
I love the koozies. So. They're so cute.
Are they fun?
I love it. And especially, I was looking at your Facebook page, and there's koozies with like Starbucks drinks, koozies with beer. I just thought that was really fun, because it's a great brand too. And speaking of the Trophy Wife brand, is there any kind of cross promotion? Because you've got Trophy Wife as a show now. Is there any interesting marketing opportunities that you're looking with as far as your brand goes?
I would love to think so. We actually own the trademark to Trophy Wife.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of the first steps we did.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, I would love to. I've actually, just lightly tweeted the show and, sent the messages and things. So far, I haven't heard anything. But, I think that the name Trophy Wife means a lot of different things. And to me, I'm on a mission to change the negative meaning behind it, which is, a younger woman with an older, rich husband. That's not a trophy wife to me. A trophy wife is somebody who's a total package, and that can mean bringing home the bacon, looking fabulous while doing it with a baby on your hip. So I think that, I just really want to change what trophy wife is. So.
Well, I think that's funny you mentioned that, because there is a little bit of a connotation with that, like you said, a negative connotation. And with, is it Malin? Is that his name? Malin?
Malin. I think it's Malin.
Yeah, she's the star of Trophy Wife, which I watched. It was funny. I liked it. And I like her husband. I can't remember what his name is, but I always like his like romantic comedy movies. But anyway, she was saying on The View, I'm sorry, you guys, I watched The View. And she was saying something about the name being associated with vapid, or like, like just a not all there kind of a female. And I really like, you seem like you said, it's a very capable, well-rounded female. And so how are you taking this brand and getting it out there and showing people that what it means, I guess, like what you feel like, taking it a little bit further than just showing people the label and saying Trophy Wife? What are you doing to market this?
So if you take a look at all of our social media, it's fun. It's not stuffy. It's not fur coats and diamonds. It's like it's a beer in a koozie. Like it's just fun. And I know that. I mean, a bottle of wine shared with girlfriends. That's what that's what most women go for, and they drink what they like. And so we just want to have fun with it and make it where it's not just not a stuffy, that negative connotation you were saying.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Girl Talk Startup is, first of all, one of the comments was that she loved that it took you years. It was great to hear someone that wasn't necessarily an overnight success, and you actually had a lot of work and you stuck with it. Like you said, it's all about patience and payoff in the long run, because you said margins aren't great, which we'll hopefully talk about in just a second when it comes to wine. But another question that she had was if you've thought about having reps throughout the states to host parties and wine taste for you. And someone else, I think she also asked, can you mail wine? So I know there's a lot of regulations around how you sell wine, especially I found out that Maine, you can't ship alcohol at all to Maine. It's crazy. Each state has their own little laws with it. So
Sure.
Are you able to do either of those?
Yes, because as much as I want to be in all of these states, at the same time, I can't be. Now, in the beginning, I was hitting the pavement. I was, launching the brand, doing tastings everywhere, and I still do. So next Saturday, I'll be in Lexington, Kentucky, doing a tasting. The next week I'll be in Knoxville working that market. We do have several people who do tastings for us throughout our markets from time to time. So we're not big enough yet that we can support an actual like staff or anything. Hopefully down the road we can do that. As far as like mailing to other states, like you said, Maine, my home state, Kentucky, has the strictest laws, and where bourbon comes from. It's the craziest thing. We have the highest tax on alcohol, and you can't mail alcohol out of the state or into the state.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's crazy. So right now we're not set up where we can do it online. We are, looking into partnering with someone who can help us with that.
Very nice. Well, and before I ask you a couple other questions and we get into feature 5, as far as the margins go for wine, I've had a couple people that have said, because we do in-person meetups, and so we're always looking for contributions, and I know of a number of other female organizations that do the same thing, and what I've heard is that you shouldn't really approach a wine label or a winery because the margins are not there, whereas like a vodka or something like that, there's tons of room for marketing. So, I mean, what does it look like as far as what it costs to actually produce the bottle of wine that we look at?
Let's see. I want to say I honestly can't remember because it's changed a couple of times, but it's very low. I know that we opted for a better quality wine, so that made our margins even lower. Had we gone for, a $8.99 retail, we would have made a couple dollars more a bottle. But we were wanting something, the thing that was important to me was to take it somewhere and not be embarrassed of it. So the lower quality, you're going to make probably a little more money on than the higher quality.
That's interesting. Yeah, and you know what? I really like the price point that you have it set at, too, because it makes it easy to get introduced to, easy to make it a gift to. Like Corey Freeman was saying, she's not that much of a wine person. Corey just turned 21. And I think it took me a while to get into wine, too. At 21, it was more like beers and like mixed drinks, and then you start getting into wine as you socialize with people that are into wine, it feels like. And so I think that's a great point to think of. So, and then finally, for all of the people that are watching that love wine, because like I said, YFE Chat, we're all about our wine. We Instagram it, we tweet about it. I'm sure there's a lot of women on here that would love to work with a wine label, whether it's in graphic design or in copywriting. What are some things that you would want your contractor to consider before you hire them, such as like being up to date on marketing laws when it goes to, comes to marketing wine, that type of a thing?
Well, something that was important to me, as I'm very much a feminist too, that I made sure everyone we worked with was a female, from the attorneys to the graphic designers to the person who just did our marketing, just because I wanted what a woman could do. And so I think that we do have an advantage now, especially in this industry, because as you can see with all the different labels out there, not just in wine, but in spirits and beer, everything, they're more targeted to women now. So I think there's going to be a higher demand for women.
A female voice. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a great point to consider. So if you guys want to get into the wine industry, what's the best way to contact someone that's with a wine label? I mean, is that to email someone or to pick up the phone is there networking events for wine labels?
There's actually several different job boards, and there's like business networking, like beverage networking. I can't remember the name of it. It's like B and something. It's like beverage networking. Then, if you just go on to LinkedIn and you see the different groups you can get in there, if you just type in wine, there's a ton of different groups. There's like wine and spirits groups, like number one wine and spirits groups. And you can see so many people networking on there, whether it's just from importing a new vodka to doing label work.
Very nice. Hopefully you guys will all check that out then. So I want to end tonight's conversation with our feature 5. It's 5 questions that are short, easy things to find out a little bit more about who Gwen is and what your life is like in Trophy Wife Wines and outside of it. So for our first question, what does your work environment look like?
A couple of things. So I have my home office, so upstairs, that actually looks like a real office. And then a lot of times I'm sitting on the couch catching up on my DVR and working from a laptop.
And how often do you go out for taste? This is not part of the 5 questions, but how often, sorry, how often are you doing tastings?
At least once a month. I try to do a couple a month. Last month I was in Nashville. It requires some travel and, just being away. So, and being pulled into a million directions at one time. So at least once a month.
Yeah, I bet. So who are your female role models or mentors in business?
I don't have anyone that would be someone who's famous or anything, but in college I worked at a boutique, and the small business owner, she taught me so many things about business that I've carried over into this business. So she was definitely a mentor and still is.
I love that. I have the same. I worked for someone in college that I do think of every once in a while when I make a business decision, just like as far as customer service goes and things like that. I think that's fantastic.
Sure.
So what do you do outside of business?
My interests are very, very broad. So, I like to go to whatever the hot new workout of the day is. I go to yoga. My husband, I'll go play golf with him. He recently got into mountain biking, so I got into mountain biking.
So, oh my gosh, really? That's tough.
It's something.
I won't do it. My husband does it, and I can ride the bike for like 30 minutes, and then I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore.
I've had a couple spills, so.
Oh my gosh.
But no, I'll try about anything.
That's so funny. I wouldn't take you for a mountain biker. That's good. It's always good to try new things. And so what is your advice for a young female entrepreneur that is just getting started?
Don't give up. I know I had so many people tell me it wasn't worth my time, it wasn't worth the money. Take a risk, because at the end of the day, you don't want to look back and think, what if I did that, 5 years ago, or, you don't want to look back and regret it. So, and that was our whole philosophy this whole time was, so we lose a little bit of money, we'll try it, why not? And so far, so good. So just keep going, don't get discouraged.
Good. Perseverance, patience, all that fun stuff. That's great. All right, so the last question is a little bit of an obvious one, but maybe you can pinpoint it down to which one of your ladies is your favorite. What is your favorite drink?
My favorite, what I'm drinking right now, is actually our Big Red Blend. And this one. And one other thing I wanted to mention is the labels are actually 3 of my best friends.
Aww.
So it's a tribute to my girlfriends, and then this is me on a good day.
I love it. That's so cute. Very nice. So Big Red Blend is your favorite one.
Yeah.
All right. So Gwen, where can everyone find you? Where can they, again, just reminding people where they can buy your wine?
Right now we are in Kentucky, Tennessee, Iowa, Indiana, and soon to be Missouri. So just ask for us at your favorite retailer, and hopefully we can be in a state near you soon.
And where can people follow you on? I love following you on Instagram. Your pictures are always so fun. And on Twitter, and on where your website is.
Thank you. At Trophy Wife Wines, and everything's wines with an S. So.
Very nice. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, Gwen. I really appreciate it. I've wanted to have you on the show for a long time, so this is great to actually have you on.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we've been listening to Gwen Ogle. She's the founder of Trophy Wife Wines. So grateful for having her on. Make sure that you guys check out Trophy Wife Wines. Follow her on Instagram for sure. Since we're talking about Instagram, YFE is on there, and I love to follow other young female entrepreneurs. That's how I find new cool people. So if you follow at YF Entrepreneur, we'll definitely follow you back. You can also tag your days with YFE Chat, and that's another way that I can find you and check out what you're doing, because we love to feature YFEs. So this has been episode 81, all about the wine industry. You can find replays on YouTube and on iTunes. iTunes, just search for Young Female Entrepreneurs. You can find our YFE Chat Live and other YFE produced shows. And then on YouTube at youtube.com/YF Entrepreneur. The way that you can get all of the information, though, about YFE is by signing up for Mailed It, which is our mailing list. It's at yfe.me/mailed it. And that's where we send out our emails to let you know what's going on. Thank you all so much for watching live, and hopefully you'll join us in Bootstrap Book Club. There's some people on the chat that are not in Bootstrap Book Club or participating that I would love to see there, because it's always so much fun, and I know Stacy is going to give us a great time with the Bootstrap Book Club. So this has been Jennifer Donogh, your host of YFE Chat Live. Let's see if we can bring on Stacy one more time so she can say bye.
Bye.
We were just ending. I'm sorry.
Can I say other
I want to make
stuff?
sure that she can say bye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, now we have audio. Say it one more time, Stacey.
Bye, everybody.
Sorry.
You guys all got 3 buys. You're welcome.
Nice. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching live, and hopefully we'll see you back here next week at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Make sure that you show up a little bit early so you can check out Stacey beforehand, too. All right, thank you so much.